Shalom, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Kakwadash. Double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us his truth. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful like Akim, teaching and preaching his truth with all righteousness and sincerity. This is Akim Wasap. Today's lesson is entitled Wickedness is Normal Behavior, and Lord willing, you be edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, the true names of the Heavenly Father and his only begotten Son. And as always, the sit-downs, the lessons, the street speaking, it's for the remnant, the elect, the Israel, the Most High, to use the gospel preach. Shalom to the beloved brother Dawadah. Shalom, bro. So today we're going to go on the account of wickedness that was going on in Jerusalem and the judgment that came thereafter. All right, and as we run parallels what happened in the ancient world, and we see these same actions being acted out today, we can see or we can foresee major judgment coming. Before I get into Ezekiel 8, let me get this in Romans 15th chapter, because everything that's written in the scripts is written for our learning. All right, this is Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Now we read the various accounts of our forefathers, and we see the relationship they had with Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. We seen how they prayed. We seen how they had faith. And we try to apply what we learned from our history of our forefathers, and we apply it to our lives. And with balance, when we see the wickedness of Jake, and Shalom to Yawanathan, when we see the wickedness of Jake in the scripts, and we see the judgment that falls on them after, we can run parallels on what's going to be happening in these times. All right. So it's always good to be reading these old accounts to see how the Lord, work his work. So here in Ezekiel, the 8th chapter, Ezekiel, he was a prophet during the Neo-Babylonian Empire, and the Lord was dealing with him. And he was a Levite as well. So here in Ezekiel 8:1, I'm going to try to read through it quick. It's not a lot of breaking down to do, but we want to see how wickedness, took hold of individuals in Jerusalem, and then they acted those wicked works out, and judgment came on them. Ezekiel 8:1, it says, and it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in my house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of Yahweh fell there upon me. So Ezekiel was in the spirit. It says, and then I beheld in lo a likeness as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins even downward, fire, and from his loins even upward as the appearance of brightness, as the color of amber. So what he saw was an angel, and he had a glow on him. All right, and it was the color of amber, because the angels are men, number one, and number two, they're dark skinned. They're like a burnished brass color, a color of amber. Continuing on, it says, he put forth the form of a hand and took me by the lock of my head. So this angel is taking Ezekiel through the spirit and grabbed his hair, his braid. It says, and the spirit lifted me up between the earth and heaven and brought me in the visions of the Most High to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provoketh to jealousy. So an angel took him and saw this idol that was set up. All right. It says, and behold, the glory of the Most High of Israel was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. He saw a chariot. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now the way towards the north. So I lifted up my eyes toward the way of the north, and behold, the north gate. The north were at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. So basically what was happening is an angel was taking Ezekiel through the spirit, and he's seeing wickedness that's happening amongst Jake. Verse 6. He said, therefore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do, even the great abominations that the house of Israel committed here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary, but turn thee yet again, thou shalt see greater abominations. And he brought me to the door of the court, and when I looked, I beheld a hole in the wall. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I digged in the wall, behold a door. And he said unto me, Go in, behold the wicked abominations that they do here. And we see that today. You know, Jake, they think they hiding from the Most High. They think they in secret, and they doing all kind of abominations, whether it's adultery, whether it's robbing, stealing, killing, all right, murder, and all other abominable works. It says, so I went in and saw, and behold, every form of a creeping thing and an abominable beast, and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about. So he saw pictures, all right, images, pictures of different gods, different idols. Let's read this in another translation. Let's get the NLT. Be careful with going into these other translations because they sometimes go off. It says, so I went in and I saw the walls engraved with all kinds of crawling animals and detestable creatures. And I saw the various idols worshipped by the people of Israel. So imagine him going into this particular location. He's looking all around, and he's seeing idols and shit in the wall, on the walls, just like we see today. You go to your grandma's house or your family house, you're seeing pictures of Caesar Borgia. You're seeing pictures of Buddha, statues of Buddha. You know, little idols all around these people's houses, and all that stuff comes with, you know, particular spirits. Right? And the law says, bring not the unclean thing in the house unless you be unclean like it. So these idols and different gods and different things people worship in your house, man, that brings spirits. Verse 13, he said also unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat a woman weeping for Tammuz. All right, and when we see this woman weeping for Tammuz, all right, these ancient gods, these ancient lifestyles, these ancient philosophies, they all here today. It's just they have another name to them, another, you know, twist to them. So today, this woman weeping for Tammuz is none other than Virgin Mary. All right, the so-called image of Virgin Mary with the baby Jesus, you know. And like Apostle Tahar said, how come we never see so-called Jesus when he was, you know, 12, 13 years old? You either see him when he's a little baby or he's some old-ass hippie, you know? But, you know, these customs that we see today, the worshiping of Virgin Mary, the mother, the woman with the son, you know, we can all find traces of that going back to these kingdoms. It says, then said he unto me, hast thou seen, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of Yahweh, with their face toward the east, as they worship the sun towards the east. So you have men in the house of the Lord worshiping the sun. You got women weeping, you know, women weeping for Tammuz. All right. You got idols up and down walls. Let's keep reading 2 more verses. It says, then he said unto me, hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is it a like thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here? For they have filled the land with violence and returned to provoke me to anger. And lo, they put the branch to their nose. Therefore will I also deal in fury. My eye shall not spare, neither will I have pity. And though they cry in my ears with a loud voice, yet will I not hear them. So what we read here, the Lord takes Ezekiel through the Spirit and goes and see all the wickedness that Israel is doing. From the elders, from the 25 elders with their back facing the temple, and their faces facing the east, worshiping the sun. Women weeping for Tammuz. Idols and all type of wickedness portrayed on the walls. Jake was worshiping them. And as we segue to the next chapter, we read about the destruction that the Lord brings, all right, to Jake. And it's entitled The Vision of Slaughter, Ezekiel 9:9-1. I cried also in my ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, even every man with a destroying weapon in his hand. And these are angels. So after all the wickedness that was seen, Now there's judgment that's going to go out. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which leadeth toward the north, and every man a slaughtering weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side, and they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. And the glory of the power of Israel was gone up from the cherubim, a chariot, whereupon he was to the threshold of the house, and he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn, because out of these chariots the Most High can speak. Kind of like how you see with the helicopters. All right, helicopter may be chasing somebody, a police helicopter, and they can speak out of it. So that technology is old technology. The Lord been doing that. Verse 4, and Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So while in the 8th chapter we seeing all this wickedness going on and people participating in it, you got individuals that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof, and that will represent us today. Here it is, we surrounded by wickedness. We surrounded by people of the alphabet community. We surrounded by adulterous women. We surrounded by niggas that rob, steal, and kill, and plot and scheme and do all this, wicked shit. All right, from extortion, all right, to murder. And then here it is, we coming out with the testimony of Yahweh, which is the spirit of prophecy, and we teaching and preaching, and we, through the spirit pushing a vibration of righteousness, we will be eligible for a mark of exemption, which is what this angel put upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry. And it says, for all the abominations that be done in the midst of all the wicked shit that's done in here, we're going to have something to say about it. It says, and to the others, he said unto my hearing, the other angels, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. So here it is one angel spiritually putting a mark of exemption upon the foreheads of on the men that sigh and that cry. And then there's the destroying angels going after him, destroying all those that don't have this mark. And that's how it's going to be during Jacob's trouble. There's going to be a spiritual hedge of protection around the men that stood up against the wickedness and the abominations, and those that were with the wickedness and abomination, they're going to be getting destroyed. And there's going to be a lot of dead bodies. Going back to the title, wickedness is normal behavior. Verse 5, and to the others he said in my hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. And the angels is going to have extreme prejudice on these individuals that were partakers in wickedness. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. There is no respecter of persons with Yahweh Bashem Shai. And he's going to be destroying all age groups, either old or young, women, both genders, little children, so on and so forth. But come not near any man upon whom's the mark. And what allows us exemption from judgment? This doctrine, us believing in Yahweh Shai, us believing in the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Ultimately, because the elect will be predestinated from the foundation of the world to receive salvation. All right. But this doctrine that those spirits from the beginning, or when the world was established, when they were created, they would have a spirit to believe in the gospel. All right. Like I say in James, receiving the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. So that's how we get that mark of exemption, by receiving this word, right? Believing. And began in my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men, which were before the house, going back to those 25 men that we read about in the 8th chapter, how they was worshiping the sun while being in the temple of the Lord. And he said unto them, defile the house and fill the courts with the slain, go ye forth. And they went forth and they slew in the city. So a lot of dead bodies were filling the courts. And it came to pass while they were slaying them, I was left. So Ezekiel was one, in his vision was one of those men that were sighing and crying for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof, and there was a spiritual mark of exemption placed on him. And he was preserved. He had a hedge of protection. That I fell upon my face and cried and said, Yahweh, wilt thou destroy all the residue of Israel in the pouring out of thy fury upon Jerusalem? And from what Ezekiel saw, it looked like the Lord was destroying everybody. And that's how it's going to be in our times. It's going to look like the Lord is destroying a shitload of Israelites, abundance of Israelites. But what's going to be comforting to us, we know that 2/3 is going to be cut off and die. All right. We know that the love of many is going to wax cold. A lot of Israelites are going to be killing each other. Isaiah 19 goes into how Egyptian is going to rise up against Egyptian. So there's going to be spirits on people to bring judgment. Isn't it written that there be spirits created for vengeance? Then said he unto me, the iniquity which is sin upon sin of the house of Israel and Judah is exceeding great. We see that today. It says, and the land is full of blood and the city full of perverseness. Men want to be women, women want to be men. For they say, the Lord hath forsaken the earth, and the Lord seeth not. And this is their imaginations and their thoughts towards the Lord. They think the Lord isn't even around. He's not doing nothing. It says, and as for me, also my eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity, but will recompense their way upon their own head. That what a man soweth is that what he shall reap. Are you out there working wickedness? Well, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get wickedness done to you to the point of death. And behold, the man clothed with linen, which this was the angel which had the writer's inkhorn by his side, reported the matter, saying, I have done as thou hast commanded me. And that's how the Lord get down. He controls everything in the earth by way of the angels. The angels go out and do the bidding, and then they go back and bring in the report to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So what we read in the 8th verse is the wickedness that Jake was into, and in the 9th verse that proceeded after it, we see the judgment. And that's what's going to be happening today. And it's all in the prophecies. So when we go here to 2nd Esdras 15, which we always in 2nd Esdras 15 because that's what's in season right now. We're speaking about things that will shortly come to pass. I often, start at the top. But we're going to hit the 5th verse. It says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, sword, famine, death, and destruction. So it's the Lord that's going to be bringing these hellish conditions upon earth, and he's going to be using people to do it. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. So just as we read in Ezekiel 8, wickedness exceedingly polluting, Jake, then the Lord is going to do like he did then in these times, but it's going to be far greater. Therefore saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness. The Lord isn't holding his tongue no more. The mouthpiece or the tongue of the Lord is the prophets. He got the prophets out there bringing out the counsel of the Lord and letting the people know what's good and what's evil, what's acceptable and what's unacceptable unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So the Lord isn't holding his tongue no more. He got the prophets out, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things. Suffer means to allow. There's going to come a time where the Lord is going to put a stop to all this madness, in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. So just like what we read in Ezekiel 9 and 4, we see this here in 2nd Esdras 15 and 8. You have those who died in the ministry. When they die, they go before the presence of the Lord, and that righteous blood crieth unto the Lord. And then the souls of the just complain continually. That's the men of the Lord, making these videos out there on the highways and the byways, sighing and crying for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof, speaking about how we earning wages to put in a bag with holes in it, then we subject unto payments, our wives is harlots in the streets, our children is wicked, our bread, our water is sold unto us, our backs is bowed down always by our oppressors. All right. Our soles of our feet have no rest. Bros is, got to work 2-3 jobs to make ends meet. And then the money that we get is backed by fraud because it's not real money. So the men of the Lord, the fruit that grows on the trees of the men of the Lord, Yahweh Shai said a tree may be known by its fruit, is that they'd be sighing and crying. They'd be complaining. Therefore saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them. And when you read in Revelation 18 and 20, it says, rejoice over her, you holy apostles and prophets, for the Lord has avenged you on her. So the holy apostles and prophets, they will be complaining, just as we saw in Ezekiel 9 and 4. Put a mark of exemption upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. Israelites here in Babylon the Great, if you're not in the truth and allotted for salvation, then you're as a led as a flock to the slaughter. You're gonna eventually die here. You just here to get put to death. Do whatever lot that the Lord wants you to fulfill, and then get destroyed. I will not suffer them to dwell in the land of Egypt. The only ones that's going to get deliverance out of this spiritual Egypt is the elect. And I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and I will destroy all the land thereof. Why? Because wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth. And the Lord is going to bring judgment here. And the brother Dawadah got a precept. This is 2 Esdras 9 and 15. I have said before, and now do speak. I will speak also hereafter, that there be many more of them which perish than of them which shall be saved. We speak about the 2/3. They're going to get cut off and die here. And only a 1/3 is coming out of Babylon. I mean, you have elect, scattered throughout the four winds, north, east, south, and west. But when we speak about the 2/3 and the 1/3, that specifically pertains to here in Babylon. 2/3 is going to get cut off and die, and 1/3 is going to get saved. And then the heathens is going to get put to death. So there's going to be many more of them, as it says here in 2 Esdras 9 and 15, that there be many more of them which perish than them which shall be saved. And then in this verse, it gives an example. Like as a wave is greater than a drop. So we know a wave is more abundant than the drop. So that's how many more deaths that will be here than those that will be saved. So wickedness is normal behavior here. We got to see it. All right, I know it's vexing. I know it's irritating. All right, because some of the wickedness happened to us, For example, your wife shall be a harlot in the city. A lot of us bros, we deal with that. We deal with our women being hoes, committing adultery, sleeping with other men. So that wickedness, all right, we gotta experience that, just so we can see that the Lord's words is faithful and true. But the Lord is gonna checkmate it, and He's gonna bring destruction. So wickedness is normal behavior. All right, don't let you seeing wickedness, throw you off your course. And you know what? Let me get a precept real quick to back it up, because it gets vexing, man. It gets vexing seeing all kind of wild shit going on. When you go to Psalm 37, Psalm of David says, "Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity." Fret thyself. Don't get angry. Don't get grieved because of workers of iniquity, because of evildoers. And don't get jealous of them either, because when you see these niggas of the world prospering in wickedness, we don't get moved off of that. Here it is, these entertainers, they commit all kind of sacrifices, doing all type of odious works of wickedness, and they prosper. But this is their world. They receiving their glory and their consolation on this side. So there's no need for us to be envious of that. It says, "For they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb." The Lord is going to chop their ass down. Trust in Yahweh and do good. Do the work. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily shalt thou be fed, be well taken care of. As long as we trust in the Lord and put that work out there through the Spirit, we're going to be well taken care of. Delight thyself also in Yahweh, and He shall give thee the desires of thy heart. And bros should be desiring mercy and forgiveness of sins, which that will enable you for salvation. So, all right, as we get closer and closer to the end, it's going to get very dark out here. But keep your integrity, pray for strength. I'm going to leave it at that, Lord willing. We are edified through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem El Shai, the true names of the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son. Salawam, Aki. Stay strong.